So I'm making this video because, quite frankly, people aren't very intelligent. And I don't mean that in a disrespect way, I just mean it in a way of I deal with the same human problems all the time. And we're in an age of AI, and I find it very hard for us not to deal with our flaws. Not that I'm free of them by any stretch of the imagination, but just simply trying to recognize those things that we see in front of us that are impediments to success that we see time and time again. And if other people aren't seeing them, I'm going to try and help you out. So I'm going to try my best to speak in particulars because most people just don't even know that they're doing it. In the last 3 days, 4 days, I've had, again, it's like every day I have this over and over and over again, scenarios of people who are coming to me saying, hey, you have your stuff together, I'd like to know what I could do to get my stuff together, and then I share with them and they don't want to do it because it's hard work. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I only know my own way. I only know what's worked for me. I know that I've tried several things and that at the end of the day, I'm going to share with you the wisdom of what I see as the paths that are available. You're going to notice the phone's going to beep and beep and beep. It never stops. Anyway, so the point is that people often trade off, as you're aware, their freedoms for security. They'll work at a 40-hour job week, even a 60-hour job week, just to know that that paycheck is coming in. Most people do not know how to start a business. They don't know how to run a business. Most people who have businesses and run businesses don't know how to actually run their businesses. They either hand things off to other people because they necessarily have to, or because they genuinely don't understand how that thing works, which is more commonly the case. It's fine in some circumstances and more detrimental in other circumstances. So people are out there, they're trying to make it, they're getting cookie cutter advice. You plug stuff into AI, it tells you that you can do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, boom. And everyone says, oh yeah, I can take over the world. But what I find is that people can't connect the most basic ideas of, I am here and I would like to be here. So that means that there are these things along the way. And I need to be able to identify some of them. I may not know what all of them are, but let's identify what some of those things are, whether they're achievable, how realistic, so on and so forth. And so some people will then get stuck and say, hey, I don't have the money to achieve A, or that's not going to happen. And that may very well be the case. That may be a dynamic that they can't solve. This becomes like more of a psychological problem than it is about a financial problem. People, again, when you get stuck on things, it may be that it's unachievable right now. It may be that it's unfair. It may be that it's difficult. It may be that it's painful. I'm not discounting any and above. All these things are very true. You still now have to figure out what you're going to do to get around it and past it. My father taught me when I was a young man that the starving artist waitress, she's still working as a waitress. She wants to be a actress, but she is working as a waitress because she has to handle A, B, and C along the way to maybe be able to afford this class or whatever it may be. Everyone's got a different path. The money's best spent improving yourself than it is spent on things. I'll tell you that much. Invest in yourself. Invest in not buying I have somebody the other day, my brother. Let me try not to say. Someone related asking me about business advice again, and he thinks he has to invest into inventory. He does not need to invest in inventory. He needs to invest into a better mindset on how to gain traction. He's an artist. He's a design guy. He's got really cool hats, really cool t-shirts, really cool stuff. And yes, it may be true that a marketing campaign can and would help. It also may be true that it will do nothing. So it sucks to not have the money to take that gamble. And yes, I agree. You could sit there, though, however, and go boo-hoo-hoo about it. Or you could spend time finding people who do believe in you and finding an investor. Or you could spend time, and again, I'm speaking this stuff out loud because he's not even able to hear it, sadly. It's a problem. He's so frustrated by the situation, he can't hear the suggestions. I said, well, for all intents and purposes, go on to GPT and say, I can't come up with the money, I don't have the money now, what should I do? I explained to him that making publicity is the freest and best publicity you could think of. So, meaning if you can find some way to get into the headlines, he goes, well, how am I going to do it? I said, I don't know, it's not been my passion for all these years. It's not what I'm stuck on, so I can't figure it out in 2 seconds. But if I had a art project and I wanted to do something regarding that, I'd find a way to make a scene in public. I would find some way to do that as inexpensively as possible. And I would spend my time researching that and gaining towards that. But anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about. There are only so many paths that you can take. There are paths where, again, you take some comfort because you're going to get that paycheck. And then people have paths beyond that, which they perceive as professionals, but they're not even really professionals. Doctors, accountants, lawyers, unless you're on those very, very top with the, again, I was going to be an attorney, and I saw unless you're going to be top of your class, in which case you're going to end up selling yourself to some law firm that they're going to give you all the clients, you're not going to have any quality of life. You're going to be there all day and all night. Unless you're going to be that person, you're going to come out selling. Same as the accountant, same as the doctor who needs to connect with the medical, with the pharmaceutical companies, and needs to connect with the health insurance companies to keep clients coming through the door. It's the same thing over and over. People get into businesses that they didn't expect they were getting into. I'm in insurance on a day in and day out basis. I speak with insurance. I primarily do commercial insurance. I deal with business owners. They got into business and they were not expecting to do the business that they're actually doing day in and day out. They got into general contracting because they enjoy contracting, not because they thought they were going to have to learn about contracting, meaning who is handing liability on to who. Are you properly, from a contractual standpoint, handling the liability and risk transfer? And that's where I come in and I show them and attorneys and this and that, all these kinds of people that, frankly, they don't know what's going on and becomes scary at some point. You talk to enough attorneys who don't know what's going on, it becomes scary. You talk to enough accountants who don't know what's going on, it becomes scary. That's when I started, I had to post this, I'm done already. Talking to another CPA accountant, I go through a whole thing with, this guy doesn't know how a workers' comp policy gets audited? That's insane. Do you know how many companies are turning to you for their help? That's just absolutely bananas. So I'm more than happy to take the clientele because you want to hand them my way because I'm going to orchestrate this whole thing and you know you don't have to deal with it. But the fact that you're a seasoned veteran and you're learning from me now, a seasoned veteran, you're a schmuck. This is just, again, attorneys telling me what lines of insurance people need, and then I have 3-second conversations with them, maybe a minute conversation. They're like, I'm completely out of context. Oh, I didn't realize that they would need that line in order that my bill gets paid. Because they're so busy just writing stuff away and thinking about bottom line liability, they forget the robust world of what's actually going on when litigation takes place. So, why am I talking about all this? Is that this is the kind of stuff that's needed in order to actually address business, to engage business. And it's not the end of the world if you don't know all this stuff, but worse than anything is paralysis. You know, see what those steps are, and the point is you may not know all of them, but you're going to fill in the blanks as you go. You might get some bumps and some scrapes and some bruises, but everyone's so scared of those bumps and scrapes and bruises, they never freaking engage the actual opportunities that are in front of them, and instead they end up battling beasts that are not actually those that are there to be slain. I'd rather spend my time fighting something that's actually going to get me somewhere. It's not fun, it's not pretty, it's not cool, but at the end of the day, there's gains to be made. And I'm not saying that other people don't get lucky, because as I mentioned before, there are business owners who are absolute morons. And frankly, at least they didn't have paralysis and they got somewhere. And now they're having their money work for them. And I may be able to see that you're making a decision that's costing you millions of dollars and you can't see it, but they still have the millions. And it is what it is. So, anyway, I've spent my way trying to figure out how to best gain what I can from my understanding of this world. Most people are ending up working as cogs in the wheel. When I was working in mortgages, I didn't understand what I could have done from a financial standpoint before the collapse of the mortgages to have owned multiple properties, because I was too young and just trying to figure out the game that was going on around me. And at first, when I was doing insurance, I didn't understand that either. I was trying to gain the concept of what was going on around me. And thank God I had a friend who challenged me, and he's a little cuckoo and threw me 9 million businesses and trying to acquire them and whether we could. And watching a lot of videos and going outside of my comfort zone and speaking and hearing and talking with people who are engaged in more than what I'm doing. And unfortunately, it's not always accessible, but it's accessible via internet content. It's accessible via AI. It's not, if you don't have that mentor face to face, you can engage content. Robert Kiyosaki changed my world by understanding that I'm chasing in the negative all the time. The dollar bill is literally depreciating on a regular basis. So if you're chasing, forget about, we're talking about people who can't figure out how to make money, let alone the fact that once you're making the money, it's freaking depreciating, guys. It's a losing game. We need to be gaining assets. And not everyone can catch this, and you can't save everybody along the way. You can't change everybody's mindset and help them understand. And that's wild and it's sad, but creating content and sharing information may be the better way to do that. And I learned that earlier on too. I have a lot of famous clientele, and they can't engage every client from a face-to-face basis. They can't speak face-to-face with every person on what their particular problems are because the people get stuck in the weeds. I learned a long time ago also, when you're talking to people about problems, it's better off not to talk about their particular problem because they get stuck in the weeds. You need to move on and talk about it from some different standpoint of some other example that's not their example, because if it's their example, they can't hear it. And guys, we just need to do better. So learning how to gain assets is not an insurmountable thing. It's a matter of making it make sense for other people. People who actually have money are not going to part with their money or lose the position that they worked so very hard to get into just because you have some brilliant idea. And just because you throw money at something doesn't make it work. You need to show from here to here, how is it actually going to happen? How is it going to come to fruition? What's the exit strategy? People don't, they don't even know these terms. You have to engage the matters so that it becomes more concrete to you. And you know what? Maybe not everything will swim. Maybe you'll be lucky. Maybe you won't. But I'm going to give you an example of something that I just engaged. Somebody's selling a business for $40 million with property inside, $26.5 million valued property. And bottom line is, with God's help, they may accept my offer at $28 million because I showed them how $28 million with them financing $20 million of that, them providing me the bank financing, so I don't even need to go find somebody for that. And I don't have to qualify for a bank. I just have to find investors for the additional $10 million, okay? That gives me actual $2 million cushion to pay all the bills while I'm getting this all together. So I'm going to go find 10, they're going to finance 20, and they will net 20 more for that in the next 3 to 5 years because they have an exit strategy. That person who wants to buy cash right now is going to be waiting in line to buy cash at the end because they're the big boy in the industry. So we're giving them partnership and upside to stay in. Everybody's happy. Again, does it work? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But just having the confidence to engage that and know that it's a better structure, the person, if they're going to sit down with their accountant, is going to see the 20 million more on paper. It is what it is, guys. So you can engage with confidence. Somebody's sitting there telling me, oh, I want to see your send me proof of funds first. Well, that's because you're dealing with a bunch of yo-yos, but hey, don't talk to me like that. It gets to the point where you know what you're doing. I know I jumped a lot of steps here because I'm talking now on bigger things, and I was helping or wanting to help you guys with the idea of bridging smaller things, which is really about, again, the concept of what I work on today should gain me something tomorrow. Am I involved in something which is going to have an exponential benefit for me? Am I involved in something that someone else could take away from me? Am I involved in something that has residual? Because I imagined in the past that I had residual, and I imagined that I had synergy. When I finally took off was because I found that the work that my father was doing, that his clients in life and health needed someone in property and casualty insurance. And they didn't, those business owners didn't have somebody. So I got to speak with very high-level business owners. Whereas when I was in mortgages, there was no connection except, you trust my dad, I hope you trust me. find something that you can have a natural synergy off of with the clientele coming in instead of you having to create it. When you're working on referral sources, work on referral sources that are going to create continuous business, not continuous business. Like, so for example, I wouldn't want to work with auto dealers. Some people do. And again, I'm not going to tell anyone who's starting the business not to, but they tend to send you deals that need to close right now. Why does it have to close right now? The person's at your dealership. They couldn't have called Geico before. They can't call Geico afterwards. They're not going to... I mean, it just doesn't literally make any sense. Why do I have to jump right now? It would actually make more sense if they did a transaction with you, with their current broker, or whoever they're with, and then gave me the pricing of what it wound up on the new vehicle, and then come back to me so I can see whether or not I can help them. Not in this panic mode. Why would I want to create a systematic situation where all of my referrals are going to make me jump how high? I'd rather have a systematic situation where the referrals are going to be of high quality, such as that accountant or that CPA who realizes he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about and needs to send to me. So finding synergy and finding residual income that whatever I sell today will still pay me tomorrow, God willing, that's the best way to go about doing things. And so I wanted to share that with you while I had a minute because I have a lot of stuff to do. And I hope this was beneficial. That's why I did it.